the US, right? So as the US starts to emerge as an empire, right, whether it's in denial or not about it, but as it starts to emerge as an empire, and tell me from your perspective, what did it learn, whether subconsciously, unconsciously, or otherwise, from the empires that had come before, right? Obviously, the British Empire was right there in front of the folks if you go back a century or so. But even other empires like the Roman Empire and other empires that were there in history, what did the US of that time learn from those empires that had come before?
I think it depends when. So the United States starts off, arguably, as an empire. Its title is the United States of America, but from the day when it wins its ratification of its independence from Britain, it's actually not the Union of States. It's the Union of States and territories, which are governed differently, don't have voting rights, etc. That's true of day one. That's true of today. That's been true every day in between. At first, the United States famously has what we call a settler colonial empire, and its form of empire looks distinctly different from the British one. It's about dispossessing indigenous people within the North American continent and not sort of ruling them as the way that the British Raj did in India. But by the turn of the 20th century, around 1898 particularly, the United States seized a number of populous overseas colonies: the Philippines, Puerto Rico, Hawaii, Guam. And at that time, the United States started scrambling to learn imperial lessons from the British about how to rule distant colonies. The most famous bit of sort of imperial poetry to sort of survive from that age is Rudyard Kipling's The White Man's Burden. And I think what people don't always recognize is that was written explicitly as British advice to the United States. Take up the white man's burden. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, and it's Teddy Roosevelt got an advance copy. It's like literally just like almost a letter to Roosevelt. And it was advice that the United States at that time was quite interested in taking, because although the United States had been a colony and had a kind of lot of anti-imperial rhetoric in its founding documents, by then this dominant view was that the United States was becoming an adult, and in the world of politics, and to put on the big boy pants of politics was to become an empire, like the British, like the French, like the Germans, and so there was a lot of sort of eyeing the British, how do you run colonies, etc. And I think that defines, at least for the first part of the 20th century, the United States' sort of imperial identity.